Well, I don't know what actually KIHURA NKUBA means. Well, I know because I come from there, but someone would be curious to know how comes that your names don't, you have different names contrary to what everyone always have.
Yeah. For me, naming yourself properly is part of our Africanness. A name must identify you with your land, language, history, and culture. Land, language, history, and culture. If I say to you, my name is Xiaoping or Chao Teoting, you say, oh, he's from China. If I say my name is McDonald, you say, oh, he's from Scotland. If I say my name is Ryan, you say he's from Ireland. So now, if I say my name is Semo Gerere, you say, that's a name from Buganda. If I say my name is Kumalu, you should say that's from South Africa. But now, imagine if you met a Chinese, and if you asked him and say, oh, what is your name? And he say, my name is Nyerere. You'd say, there's something wrong with that Chinese. And if you met a Scottish man, with a long nose, and you asked him and said, what's your name? And instead of saying, okay, my name is Mark Ritchie, he says, my name is Kamau. You'd say, now, how funny do you think it looks for a black person? Big African nose, melanated skin, to say, my name is Cynthia. Some of these names are even funny, like John. John in English means toilet. If you want to go to the toilet, you say, I'm going to the Johns. Now, Peter. Peter means penis or to weaken. Now imagine you have a son-in-law and he's coming, you say, oh, penis has come. So you must name yourself properly. So my name KIHURA NKUBA means one who handcuffs lightning. So as a child, I didn't even want to use the name. I thought it was so strong. But after time I said, KIHURA NKUBA, if you're coming to see me, you're going to see a man who handcuffs lightning and throws thunder in jail. So I'm so good, I make medicine sick.
Wow. Someone who makes medicine sick. Interesting. Okay, so this week is an AGRF week, means the African Food System Week, where we gathering to discuss about, the food that we all have to live by eating, because without food, probably there is no humanity, unless otherwise. And in that regard, we're also interested in the youth aspect. How are youth involved into agriculture? Also is an extension of agribusiness. And I was just asking you briefly about, what you do. And the things you own now, they are so much aspirational to so many people. But I know you've worked so hard to be there. For the youth who think that agriculture is not really a place to find hope and find life and thrive with it, how do you, bring us in the context of where Africa was and what was the role of, let's say, young people in, getting involved into agriculture, and today's world where it's more to do with, look for the white collar jobs, spend some good time on social media, then go in a hotel and ask for, for delivery or order for delivery on online. What do you think about the role of youth into food security in Africa and in agriculture as a whole?
Let me tell you that I employ 600 people in Uganda alone. 600 people. I think the lowest paid in Uganda is like 600,000. The highest paid in dollars is $6,000. In South Africa, now we are about 480. We employ about 480. All the companies I run report to Kampala. When I grew up, people used to say we report to London, we report to, no. For us, we report to Kampala. And we say, Kampala lakuta, cosa finita. Kampala has spoken, case closed. So, I have a farm in Uganda. I have a cattle ranch, 6 square miles. I have about 800 cows. Heifer cows. These 800 cows, in a year, they produce about 600 cows. Now, a cow is about $600 or $800. So you can calculate and see how much money I get in cows alone. And the cows pretty much feed themselves. In South Africa, an Ankole cow, I just bought a cow with the president of South Africa, bought one cow. And it was over $250,000, one bull. In an Ankole cow in South Africa is a lot of money. You can buy it for $200,000, an Ankole cow. Now, you see, everywhere there are rich people, the rich people own land. Land is the basis of independence, freedom, righteousness, justice, everything. If you don't have land, that's why you see rich people have ranches. And what is on ranches? Cows and land. A ranch is over 5 square miles. So, what happened in South Africa is interesting because in South Africa, the white people who came, they called themselves Africans. They said they were the real Africans, Afrikaans. Then they called the African people Bantu. Now, the South African black people are not really interested in land. You know? They don't want farmland. In South Africa, if you want to impress somebody, you buy a car. And I was telling a sister outside that they call it our car. Mine and the bank's, me and the bank's car. But we should look at a time when a woman asks you and says, okay, instead of saying, where's your car or how much money do you have? They should say, where's your cow? How many cows do you have? Where's your land title? A woman should first, in Ankole, and I'm sure where you come from, it was a practice that before you fall in love with a man, you have to go and see what they have in their home. You went and asked. There was a group of people from your family that went to inspect what the man has. Does he have cows? Do they have potato fields? Do they have grain? Do they have all these things? So the I love you marriage is a Western invention. We never married somebody because you love him. You love me, why? My mother doesn't even love me. Now you come and say, you start calling me baby when I'm an adult. Yeah? You know? Good morning, baby. I'm an adult with a beard, and you call me baby. Eh? Sweet. They call me sweetie and all this. The real thing you should ask of a man is, how much land do you have? Do you have enough wealth? That's where we got the concept of bride wealth. Among the Batoro, you went to your father-in-law and say, I come as a supplicant to this home to take your pain and make it mine, to be a servant if I must, if only you allow me to have the hand of your daughter in marriage. I have created this wealth alone. Then you showed it. Now, that concept of wealth has disappeared. People just meet in the street and they love a man because he has a nose or he has legs. Who doesn't have legs? Even a cripple has got still legs. How can you love somebody because their legs are long? What if they have an accident and they become short? Now, what happens? So, when you talk about the youth and what we need to do, we need to, that's why I was saying that most of what we learn is propaganda. It is propaganda. You see something over time, it becomes your second nature. You begin to think, like, if you have 2 tickets to give to a Tanzanian, the first thing they say, we want to go to Paris, the Eiffel Tower. It's some steel structure in the street. Why do you want to go and see it? Yeah? You haven't even visited the whole of Tanzania. Yeah? And you want to go and see the Eiffel Tower. And you want perfume. Perfume, do you smell so much that somebody should pump you with perfume? Yeah? So, all the things that were crucial to us meant something. My father said to me, if I I was born in a mining family. My father was a miner. They were artisanal miners. Okay. But they had a concept. For gold, don't sell, don't tear, don't abandon. Don't sell, don't tear, don't abandon. My father left me with 13 kilograms of gold. 13.
Do you still have gold?
I can't tell you.
Don't tell.
Don't tell.
Okay.
But he said to me, if I leave you 13 kilograms of gold, you must multiply it 100 times. If I leave you with a small house, you must build 100 times bigger. If I leave you on 1 acre, you must have 100 acres. We must demand the impossible out of our children. I really believe that we parents have spoiled our children. We have even become chauffeurs to our children. You drive a child to school. Yeah? Now you are a chauffeur and the child sits at the back and says, Daddy, just stop there. I want to buy a book. And you stop. Yeah? We must demand the impossible. We must set targets, for our children, not to praise them. Me, I never had my father say, I love you. I couldn't even ask him, Daddy, do you love me? He would say, I'm crazy. Whose house do you sleep in? Whose food are you eating? So, what has happened to us is we have got lost in the white wilderness. What other people, other cultures adopt as their way of expressing love is what we have taken on. And that has killed the whole system that was built over 1,000 years. That's why I insist on us knowing where we came from and how long. And that the processes of socialization, we developed it here. We have the total sum of human collective experience. That is why your mother, you could be here. I don't know whether your mother is still alive. Is your mother still alive?
Yes, fortunately.
You
yes.
could be seated here and a leaf comes and falls on your mother's lap and she says, there's something wrong with my son. We call this a corresponding cosmic connection. Let me tell you something. There's nothing more beautiful than being black.
Tell me. And
there's nothing more beautiful than being a black woman. There is nothing. You have no idea. I see a lot of people bleaching, black people bleaching their skin and whatever. This black skin pigmentation, we call it melanin. It's produced by an enzyme called melatonin. For melatonin to produce melanin, it needs a catalyst enzyme we call tyrosinase 7. If you have no tyrosinase 7, you can't have black skin. But melanin is responsible for a lot of things, how you walk, how you talk, how you welcome people. Melanin also controls aging. It controls fatigue. It controls sleeping cycle. Companies are investing in melatonin. So you already have it. You have more. You are given the biggest gift of blackness to start with. And if you decided to be a trader, there would be no trader better than you. If you decided to be a pilot or to be a scientist, to be an innovator, because there is nothing new under the sun. We have done all this before. I met a sister who is in Egypt. If you go to Egypt, go to Saqqara, go to Kumombo, go to the sacred temple of Seti the First. We did this before. Technology is in us. That's why you can be going to Kabari. Your car breaks down. We had this incident. 4 professors in a car. Mm-hmm. We reach Rakai. The car breaks down. We leave the car to walk to look for a mechanic. But the mechanic never went to school. So he was wearing sandals and smoking, and he came and said, let me listen to the engine. He says, I know what's the problem. The man, 4 professors, they couldn't even solve the problem. Technology is built in us.
Then I'm curious then, with that richness that Africa, has in history, but also, based on what we have here,
yes,
endowed with.
Yes.
Why is it that we're still going, let's say, to Russia to cry, hey, can you give us more food?
Yes.
We're going where? Yet we have a young generation.
Yes.
We are almost croaking to poor. We are more than 1 billion, I understand.
Yes.
Africa.
Yes.
How is it that we cannot feed ourselves? What's wrong with us?
Well, it's not what's wrong with us. It is what right are we not exercising? You see, Africa is divided between those who think that they are educated, that they know. These are the people who get privileges. But who are those? Those are the people that have studied European propaganda. We call it education, but it is propaganda. It's like when I went to school, in the primary school, they said science. And the science, they would say, draw a tree. So you'd say, you draw a tree and say leaves, a branch. But I already knew this. Before I went to school, I already knew that a tree has branches, it has a taproot. I knew these things. But just by putting it in English, what they call education is mainly English. That's what they call. They reward a person by speaking English. A person becomes an MP, a member of parliament, by speaking English. So you have now this elite which owes its allegiance to Europe and looks to Europe for answers and listens to the BBC, British Propaganda Corporation. Now you ask yourself, there is no BBC World Service. You can't get it in England. You know that. You can't listen to BBC World Service. Those of you who have been to England, there is no BBC World Service there. Just like Voice of America, you can't get it in America. It is Voice of America for us. Now you ask your question. All these countries, they have Germany, Deutsche Welle in broadcasting to Africa. France International broadcasting to Africa. BBC broadcasting to Africa. You ask yourself a question. What is in Africa that you are so interested in to broadcast even frequent FM? Why are you so interested in your people knowing what is happening to us? It's just like you enter a room and the man is seated with his wife and you say, what's my role in this relationship? You don't have a role. A man is seated with his wife. So we have outsourced our solution, our way of dissecting problems to other people. You understand? So when your parents send you to school, they think you are going to learn something useful to come and help your village. Because in the village where I was born, if you have not built a house for your mother, you don't have a farm with some cows and a banana plantation, nobody respects you. They'll say, your mother lives in a shack. What are you going to say? But when we come, we get lost in the cities. Our job now and should be to get our people interested in rural areas and developing rural areas and making rural areas beautiful and also learning the concept of production. It should be criminal for somebody to buy a car or to build a house before they have a farm, before they can produce something. And producing, I mean something you can drop on your feet. I don't mean producing ideas, no. However much, I have told you, the best teaching is not a lecture, but an example. You have known me as a lecturer. I teach people pay to hear me speak. But that's not enough. I own a game farm in South Africa, 4,000 hectares. I have hotels in South Africa, and I have gold mines in South Africa. But why? Because I want to tell you that I'm an economist. You can't say I'm a carpenter and you don't make a chair. So I'm not going to say I'm an economist and all I do is talk about it. No. Here you are in my gold mine. If you find me holding 10 kilograms of gold and say I'm an economist, are you going to argue?
That's why I was asking if you still have gold. Thank you so much for that. We are closing because of the time. But just to only give one person an opportunity to ask him simple question, just simple question. What that question could look like for Dr. KIHURA NKUBA.
My question to Doctor is that if Africa were to be turned to be one country and he become a president, what could be his first priority?
Hi. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
You are the president of Africa,
Easy.
the United Republic of Africa.
Easy. Very easy.
Tell us, what is that?
I would do credit guidance. You, the bank who creates money, that demand deposit, I would direct where it would go. I would say, the money you create this month must now go for production in, say, central Tanzania. Because if you create money for production, there is no inflation. Inflation is a lot of money chasing a few goods. But when you have a lot of goods being chased by very little money, there will be no inflation. That's why in Japan, there is a book called The Princess of the Yen. It's written by a German professor called Richard Wagner. And he talks about what was called the Japanese miracle. It was not a miracle at all. It was credit guidance. The central bank, the Minister of Finance of Japan would tell the commercial banks who would get money that is created by commercial banks as demand deposits. And that money would go in production. So all these Toyota, Nissan, whatever, they got money that was created and directed to them. So most of the money that we borrow, we can create it in our own economies. We can create it. We just need to know how. And it's not a miracle. When Bill Clinton became a president, he praised a professor who wrote a book called Tragedy and Hope. The book is called Tragedy and Hope. Go and look for that book, page 49 of the book, which President Clinton read. You will see precisely what I'm talking about. So the first thing I would do is we would create the money, but I would also stop all these credit cards and all these other payments. They'd be owned by the by the government or government-owned banks. They would be the one to issue credit card. There would be no Visa. There would be no MasterCard. There would be no. There would be a card of Tanzania, of a Tanzania-owned bank, so that when they make money by creating credit, it would be of the benefit of the people of Tanzania or of the people of Africa.
Thank you so much, Dr. KIHURA NKUBA. That has been it for me and you, but also for our audience. I think you've been amazing, and you continue to be amazing, and